Okay, do you guys have any questions from ideal gas thermal physics? No? Okay, so we'll start with this book. এই বইয়ের মধ্যে হচ্ছে I think তোমাদের core problem গুলো lie করে. However, just to heads up দিয়ে রাখি, students feel like they have problems in capacitors, magnetic field and alternating currents, right? Practice বেশি করে. Eventually দেখা যায় exam এ গিয়ে হচ্ছে medical physics, nuclear physics এগুলা না লিখে চলে আসে because they completely ignored it. Okay, so just বলে রাখতেছি magnetic field, তারপর electric field, or at least magnetic field. You've been doing this since all levels. That's the like not completely new. But medical physics কিন্তু there's absolutely nothing you have learned before. So exam এ গিয়ে হঠাৎ করে answer বানানো is not possible. Magnetism at least you can write something. Because right hand rule জানো, left hand rule জানো, most of the stuff out there. Maybe math or equations আছে. So just letting you know, yes, I understand that তোমাদের এই chapter গুলোতে একটু problem হয়, understandable, but don't ignore the last 3 chapters, okay? Nuclear physics, medical physics, space physics is new, but yeah, ওইটাও একটা chapter যেটা mind রাখতে হবে। হ্যাঁ, ওটা হচ্ছে লাস্ট বইতে থাকবে। লাস্ট বইতে হচ্ছে whatever is left, so ওটার মধ্যে থাকবে হচ্ছে circular motion, তারপর হচ্ছে radioactivity, nuclear physics, quantum physics, quantumটা যেমন আমি ভুলে গেছে, তারপর space physics and medical physics, 4টা। Okay, so we'll do it the same way. First, I'll go through all the definitions out there. There's 7 definitions, and then I'll give you all the equations, and I'll give you all the graphs, and then we'll start doing the questions. Okay. In graphs on the থাকবে, so just আগে থেকে হিসাব দিয়ে রাখলাম। আচ্ছা একটা জিনিস এটা চেক করবা আমার এই টপিকে মনে নাই তোমাদের এই ইকুয়েশনের পেজ আছে প্রত্যেকটা টপিকের সো all together আচ্ছা can you see electric field এর আগে আছে নাকি আচ্ছা ওকে পেজ নাম্বার তো আছে ইন্টারেস্টিং আমার তো কেন জানি এই পেজগুলো শো হচ্ছে না পেজ নাম্বার হ্যাঁ পেজ নাম্বার কেমনে সব পেজ নাম্বার আছে আচ্ছা অসুবিধা নেই পেজ নাম্বার এত ইম্পর্টেন্ট না বিকজ তোমাদের কোয়েশ্চেনগুলো সিরিয়ালি নাম্বার করা আছে so you can use that as well. Okay, right. So let's quickly first go to the definitions, equations, and graphs. Just before that, our page will be right. So go to page 65. We'll be starting with electric fields. I want definitions. Let's start with the first one. What's an electric field? That's agree. I don't want to spend too much time on this. What's an electric field? Right. It's unit positive charge for electric field. No, electric field is a place where any charge experiences force. Whenever you have a definition that's based on a formula, talking unit positive charge, because the equations are based on what assumption? There exists only one charge. What charge? Positive, right? But the electric field is universal. It's for plus and minus. It doesn't matter. Okay, it's a region in which a charge experiences force. তারপর হচ্ছে right, or বলছে region or area where any charge experiences force. That's one of the official definitions out there. এটা definition চাইতে পারে নাও চাইতে পারে electric field lines. এখানে যেটা করতে হবে তোমাকে describe করতে হবে there. Very good. No wait. So electric field line হচ্ছে it represents the direction in which unit positive test charge experiences force. Because we charge actually can nine. I'm going to imagine a positive charge move forward, and that represents the direction. It represents the direction in which a unit positive charge moves. It's a problem with the brain. Cambridge is but Excel is same definitions of move, or movement, velocity, force. It's actually a field. Field is based on forces. Okay. Can you give me some additional points about field lines? They travel from plus to minus and key. Very good. And they do not cross each other. No. In around a point charge, it's a definition. I'm just revising. Okay, around a point charge, the field lines are key. Lines are radial. Radial manoche they spread out, right? And between parallel plates, which is now a topic that you have in A2 a day, the parallel plates, and I'm expecting questions from that. Okay, between parallel plates, it is around the point charge field lines are radial and in parallel plates, it is uniform হচ্ছে the nature of the field. How would you describe the separation? It is equally spaced and parallel. Well, equally spaced to the parallel হইতে হবে. Acha, next হচ্ছে next definition. Now we are coming to the ones that are based on the formula. So first হচ্ছে Coulomb's law. What's Coulomb's law? এটা আসলে with positive charges also. Positive charge, any charge. Right, exactly. Product, very good. Coulomb's law states that the force between two charges is directly কি হবে? Right. Directly proportional to the product of the charges and inversely proportional to what? The square of their right, that's Coulomb's law. Coulomb's law কি আর add করতে বলছে sorry, right, force between two, এটা যেহেতু definition point charges, because we take from a center of mass to center of mass or center of charge to center of charge. Force on each other proportional to the product of the charges inversely proportional to the square of their distance separation. Proportional to the square of their distance separation. Right, next these are the ones that are most common out there. What's electric field strength? Wait, he also force? Yeah, it should be experience. Electric field strength হচ্ছে the force experience exerted না বলে best have force per unit point positive charge. Okay, so it is the force per unit point. But test charge আসলে বলে but marks me দেখতে অনেক জায়গায় থাকে এটা. Electric field strength next হচ্ছে we have 1 2 3 4. Next is electric potential. It is very similar to gravitational potential. What is it? Yes, very good. It is the work done in bringing a unit. Yeah, work done per unit charge in bringing per unit charge and bringing it from infinity to official definition হচ্ছে work done per unit charge and bringing it from infinity to a point. I think it's the same. Okay, so it's a work done per unit point charge and bringing a point. Sorry, key charge of it. Positive charge. Definition গুলো যখনই হবে just add positive to it because the definitions are equations. The equations are all based on the assumption that they are like positive charges. Negative charging কোনো equation নাই কিন্তু negative charge equation গুলো just যেটা হবে whatever answer you have ওটা কি হয়ে যাবে negative, that's it. Okay. But that's the most important part. 1 mark, unlikely. Electric potential, yeah. Right, so এখানে আর কোনো definition so far দেখতেছি না. There's one definition as an old level definition. আশা করি তোমরা পারো. What's 1 coulomb? What's 1 coulomb? Current per unit time. What is that? The rate of change of current. What does that mean? So I equals to Q by T. I ask you what's Q?
1 ampere per 1 second. 1 ampere per 1 second.
What's 1 coulomb?
So with the 1 ampere per 1 second.
1 ampere per 1 second. What does that do?
1 second.
কি বলো?
1 ampere in 1 second.
Oh, what does that mean?
Glucose cycle.
No, but what does 1 ampere per 1 second mean? No, that's voltage. I'm only 1 coulomb. It's so easy. It's the amount of charge transferred when 1 ampere current passes for 1 second. Really, it about to you said everything that you saw in the equation. It is the charge, because 1 coulomb is a charge, right? It is the charge transferred. I think equation like চলতে পারে, but whenever they ask you to define a unit, you have to write it this way. Or you বলতো what is charge, তাহলে equation লিখতে পারতা. So যখন unit থাকে, you have to write it this way. So it is a charge transfer when 1 ampere current passes for 1 second. Right, so these are definition. Our বলতে সেই ডেফিনেশনটা হচ্ছে খুবই underrated একটা জিনিস, এটা পারলে you can get like 20-25 marks easily in an exam. Beforehand হচ্ছে just জেনে যেতে আর কিছু না, you don't need to think. বলো। That's 25 marks hanging in the balance. Definition ওরকম opportunity দেয় না ওরা, so ওরা যখন চাই যেগুলা, these are actually very elaborate definitions. ওটা করতে পারো। I think that for definition, can you write equations? I think you can, right? But I feel like you should write it and then write the equation. Just cover both the sides. হতে পারে যে ওই particular exam marks coming like do not allow equation, right? করতে পারে ওরা, for whatever reason they didn't just want equation that year. And PV equals energy অনেক সময় লিখলে mark দেয়, আবার অনেক সময় PV equals energy টা পুরো word এ লিখতে হবে, like you have to write everything individually. Depend করে. So I think the best is to just cover all possibilities, write both. Okay. Suggest one possibility for or anything. That's actually a good question. So examiner report they addressed it. So you have a question where they said, let's say, give 3 reasons why this happens, and you gave let's say 5 reasons or 4 reasons, and 3 reasons are right, 4th reason is wrong. Now wrong দুই টাইপের হতে পারে, একটা wrong হচ্ছে is just wrong, it's not relevant. আর হতে পারে it's contradictory and wrong. If it's contradictory and wrong, you lose marks. Okay, but if it's wrong, right, and it's called a neutral point, and it doesn't really apply to the answer, then they won't cut marks. So an example হচ্ছে geostationary satellites, right? What are the 3 features of geostationary satellites? West to east, equatorial, and has the same time period as, right? So এখন তোমাকে তিনটা লিখতে বললো, তুমি লাস্ট এর মধ্যে লিখলা যে হচ্ছে right, let's say you wrote that satellites are made up of metal, right? তাহলে it's fine, mark পাবা না, right? Either ways. So that's it. But let's say তুমি তিনটা লিখলা, all correct points, and 4th point লিখলা, that's 4th point লিখলা যে satellites are manned, there's people inside them, so somehow they control it, right? তাহলে mark কাটবে। You have written something that's wrong and come on the page and be given full marks out there. So risk হচ্ছে ওরা এটা নিয়ে একটা documentation দিয়েছে, Excel এ করছিল, that how to weigh in, should you write more or not. ওইটাতে লিখছে যে হচ্ছে write more, right? If you feel like tomorrow answers যে পয়েন্টগুলো আছে ওগুলো enough না, and you feel like you know more things about this topic, তাহলে add করো. But if you're not sure of the answer, then don't add it. It's just they will contradict your answer. Right, so let's so these are the definitions out there. Anything else? Okay, now we'll write down the equations. We have in total 5 equations here. Gravitational field মতনই সবগুলো। That to confirm করে দেখি how many do we have. তোমরা আমাকে বলো, that's I'm going to count and see. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 yeah 7 equations. Okay, let's start. Number 1. this will be a reflection on how much you have actually studied. Okay, so let's see. Right, so we'll take turns and answer. আমি যাকে জিজ্ঞেস করবো সেই answer করবো, okay? Talha, what's the general formula for electric field strength? Electric field strength, their equation. Q1 into Q2 divided by? No, so ওটাও missing কিছু আছে, but general equation for electric field strength মানে হচ্ছে whether it's a uniform field, non-uniform field, any field এ এই equation টা valid. The definition of electric field strength থেকে আসে. So what is the equation for electric field strength? You went somewhere else. It's not wrong, but not the one I was looking for. Yes. Yes, exactly. Electric field strength is F by Q, force per coulomb charge, right? So this is electric field strength. And F is force, electrostatic force, and Q is the charge on which the force is exerted, or it's the charge that provides the force. Yeah, it's the one that's experiencing the force. Okay, so yeah, E equals to F by Q. এটাকে বলা হয় হচ্ছে generic equation কেন? Because this is the one that's used to derive everything else. It's a definition based equation. Okay, let's go to number 2. Right, can you tell me electric field strength equation for uniform electric field? Right, so E equals to V by D. এখানে হচ্ছে V টা হচ্ছে কি হবে? What is V? হ্যাঁ, right, okay. So be careful, it's the potential difference between the plates. It's not one of the values, it's actually difference in both of them. This is separation of the plates. এটা খুবই important একটা জিনিস, and I feel like তোমাদের এই year একটা question due. এটা যদি আসে, just be careful. D is not the position of your particle. It's actually the separation of the plates. Okay, so separation of plates. Right, Tanim, can you tell me what's the equation for K? K, Coulomb's constant. Yes. For the Coulomb's constant, K Q1 Q by D squared. K, what's the equation for the K?
1 by 4 pi
E
pi
epsilon. That's okay, right. So Coulomb's constant data K equals to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. Because on the syllabus we only deal with the epsilon for what medium? Vacuum. Okay, and it key stand correct? Permittivity of free space. So this is permittivity of free space. Right, so that's K. K is Coulomb's constant. Turns out it's not a constant, it's actually dependent on some other factors. All right, so that's number 3. Number 4 হচ্ছে Mehtab, can you tell me what's the equation for electric field strength of a non-uniform unit point charge isolated in space? Whatever. It's the only thing you had to learn, nothing else. What is this? The electric field strength around a unit point charge isolated in space. Yes. বলো পুরোটা। field strength. Yes. So E equals to K Q by D square, but তোমাদের syllabus I've noticed that they don't write the K. They write the whole thing. So কি হবে? Q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught D square. Because the K is not really a constant. It's actually reliant on the epsilon. Okay, so this is for what field? Non-uniform. So non-uniform radial field, right? Number 5 হচ্ছে actually 5 টা আগে জিজ্ঞেস করা দরকার ছিল, force between 2 point charges, right? F equals to Q1 Q2 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught D square. এটা no, for any field. Uniform field এর জন্য খালি এটা. Is it okay? These equations, right? Next হচ্ছে 5. So we have 6, 7, 2 more. Number 6. Right, Musarad, what is the equation for potential? V. Deriving it. No, I struggle with the derivation. You have to integrate and derive it. Okay, tell me what's the potential in gravitational field? Phi. No, the equation. Phi equals to. Right. Who wants to answer? What is it? K Q by. Right. Exactly. V equals to K Q by. G equals to. Anyways, there's one more, I think. V cube by D. Yeah. Work done V cube by D. That's actually force. Because F by Q equals to V by D, F equals to V cube by D. Achha, number 7, the last equation. Amit, right? So can you tell me what's the relationship between electric field strength and electric potential? What? Gradient? Negative gradient, right? Okay, so close. So V equals to, or E equals to, electric field strength is equal to minus dV by dx. And now what's dV by dx? You might get confused. It's key actually. The gradient of the graph. Gradient. The relationship between electric field strength and potential. Gradient of V versus D graph. So negative potential. এটা হচ্ছে কেন করাচ্ছি ভাবে করে আমি তো বলি. You guys seem to struggle with graphs, right? Graphs are linked between field strength and potential. There's this equation out there. So instead of like trying to remember all the graphs out there, just remember one of the graphs. ওটাকে differentiate করলে you'll get the other. So you can then derive it from there. Otherwise, যেটা হবে, instead of 2 graphs, now you have to remember 8 graphs. Can 8 graphs? Because potential graph with plus 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 minus minus plus সবগুলো combination is another graph. So instead of that, if you can just remember the electric field strength graph, which is just for plus and minus, আর কিছু না, right? তাহলে ওইখান থেকে you can figure out what potential should look like, because ওটারই gradient হচ্ছে এই গ্রাফটা. Okay, so এটা হচ্ছে দেখো ওরা encourage করে that because they ask you this question now. Which one? In equals to minus d. Oh, that's separation. Yeah. And for it should work with separation of charges as well. Plate are charged out থাকে.
charge key electric field strength experience.
Charge কি electric field strength experience করে charge কি electric field strength experience করে তখন between two parallel plates তাহলে you use V by D V by D this one so এটা না এটা হচ্ছে একটু different এটা তো work done এর সাথে related এটা হ্যাঁ এটা হচ্ছে তোমার যখন গ্রাফ থাকে let's say you have a graph for V versus D right potential graph হচ্ছে potential versus distance so potential হচ্ছে like V here and D meter and let's say the graph looks like that so এখন তোমাকে জিজ্ঞেস করছে যে এই পয়েন্টটাতে let's say random একটা পয়েন্ট এখানে what is the field strength of that location so how do you find field strength here so field strength বের করার নিয়ম হচ্ছে you're going to find the what at that point gradient okay and gradient এর যে ভ্যালুটা আসবে এটা নেগেটিভ দেখা যাচ্ছে so এটা পজিটিভ হবে মানে তুমি যেটা আছে ওটাকে রিভার্স করে দেবা so এখানে প্রথমে নেগেটিভ যে গ্রেডিয়েন্টটা that is going to be your electric field strength so this is a variation of how potential changes but it reveals to you how field strength is so the gradient of the graph gives you your field strength so minus gradient is your electric field strength this graph is potential graph it's a good question কি আমাকে এটা বলতে পারবে এই গ্রাফটা যে আমি ড্র করলাম এটা কিসের গ্রাফ এই potential গ্রাফটা is what and what so আমি হচ্ছে একটা দিই because otherwise there will be too many combination আমার যে চার্জটা এখানে দেখতেছো the one here it's a positive charge can you tell me the charge that's been moved here is that a positive charge or a negative charge চিন্তা করে বলো okay no if one this particular graph can only be one so the charge এখানে move করা হচ্ছে is it a positive charge or a negative charge how many of you think it's a positive charge it's possible positive Achha, that's your inference because it's positive Achha, okay how many of you think it's negative I want to understand your logic positive Achha, তোমার negative কেন voltage কমতেছে Achha, so the correct answer is it's positive and the reason why it's positive is because you have a positive charge and there's a positive charge and when you bring a positive charge close to a positive charge repulsion বাড়ে so is it gaining potential energy or losing potential energy gaining বেড়ে যাচ্ছে potential right আর ছাড়লে it'll go far away and lose potential so always remember that when you approach your like charge potential বেড়ে যায় and যখন হচ্ছে you approach an unlike charge potential কমে যায় like a ball dropping right so yeah we'll be doing the graph now so don't worry but yeah that's the logic behind this clear so yeah these are your equations out there আমাকে বলো যদি কোনো question থাকে equations and definitions they should get you through I would say about 60% of the questions just knowing the equations and the definitions so এই প্রত্যেকটা কোয়েশ্চেনের মধ্যে দেখবা লাস্টে বা তার আগে একটা 1 or 2 mark question থাকে that's tricky but rest of them are just using the equation nothing else okay? so তোমাদের হচ্ছে paper 1 এ target রাখতে হবে 75 plus like mocks গুলোতে right if you can get 75 plus it's a safe number to have obviously I would prefer more but you know we have to lower our benchmark তোমাদের results দেখে so 75 টা maintain করা দরকার whatever I don't want to speak about it it's very close to single digit right but there are single digit scripts so okay let's start the graphs gulo I think it's a phobia graphs gulo difficult na it's just for whatever reason তোমাদের আগে থেকে ভয় লাগে before I even talk about graphs. Because draw করতে গেলে when we finally finish the graphs, you're like, hey, এটা তো বুঝছি। But question paper graph দেখলে you just skip. But you just don't want to get in the graphs. Last step. এই গ্রাফের জন্য তো সবচেয়ে আগে টাইম দিবা, because you need to spend more effort in it, right? Okay, anyways, let's start. So the graphs of this topic. First হচ্ছে electric field strength versus distance for uniform field. I don't know. I actually know. কারণ ওটা আমার দিকে point করে দিয়েছে। Right, tell me, how would the graph look like for electric field strength versus distance? Not in. What should the graph look like? Electric field strength. First, let's start with basic. What's the unit for electric field strength? Electric field strength unit key. Right, Newton per coulomb. Right. Acha, and distance d. I want you to tell me how the graph look like for electric field strength versus distance. Like, distance হচ্ছে separation of the plates. Separation of plates. There's total 11 graphs that I need to do combination. So শুরু করি. Actually think the type of graph, but I want to do all combination, plus, minus, minus, plus, like, so that কোনো কিছু আর চিন্তা করতে না হয় তোমাদের. I'll do everything for you. চিন্তা করতে চাচ্ছ না তো তোমরা, that's what I have understood. Right, কি হবে এটা? Right, it's going to be an inverse graph, right? Can we inverse graph? Because as distance increases, field strength decreases. E equals proportional to 1 by d. It's 1 by d, v by d, right? Potential difference between the plates is constant. So এটা যেটা আমরা draw করলাম is basically this graph. এই দুইটা parallel plate আছে এখানে. There's a plus here, there's a minus here, that's the distance here. What happens when you bring the distance closer? Obviously strength বেড়ে যাবে, so it becomes like that, right? So that's the graph here. Three. আজকে একটু করো, বলো ট্রাফিক, বৃষ্টি, কত কিছু হতে পারে। হ্যাঁ, চার্জটা হচ্ছে এই যে কোনো জায়গায়, মানে কোনটা গোয়িং আপ টু ডাউন ফিল্ড লাইন, প্লেটস গুলোকে কাছে আনতেছি আমি, চার্জ মাঝখানে তো এক জায়গায় বসে আছে। I'm not moving the charge. I'm not going to move the charge. That I think বুঝবা। Right, so let's move the charge. It is just strength very good to say. I'm not finding the position. Right, this is electric field strength. A graph to interest in that for Paranaki. Electric field strength. Newton per coulomb versus x. X টা হচ্ছে একটু different. X is not separation of the plates, it's the position of the charge. Position. Kitchen here, both this way. Jonathan, can you tell me what's the answer? No. What's the graph going to be for the position of the charge as you move it between the two parallel plates? To give you context, charge is here and that distance is x. So how does it vary? Very good, right? So it turns out in a uniform plane, right, uniform field, if you move your charge to any location in any manner, the amount of force it experiences at every given point is what? Same. Okay, there's going to be just a flat line. Because when you have two parallel plates, right, one of the plate is pushing the charge, the other plate is pulling the charge, and when you're very far away from this plate and very close to that plate, ওটার repulsion সবচেয়ে বেশি, এটার attraction সবচেয়ে কম, but তুমি যখন নামতে থাকবা they change equally, তার জন্য overall same value রয়েছে between the plates. So first graph হচ্ছে electric field strength between the plates. এটা তুমি যদি প্লেটস গুলোকে হচ্ছে কাছে নিয়ে আসো তাহলে স্ট্রেংথ কি সেম থাকবে না বাড়বে? তার জন্য দেখো ডিসটেন্স কমালে স্ট্রেংথ বাড়তেছে। আর এটার মধ্যে আমার প্লেটস গুলো এরকমই আছে, আমি আমার চার্জ গুলোকে ডিফারেন্ট জায়গায় নিয়ে যাচ্ছি। So তোমার চার্জ যেখানেই থাকে between parallel plates, what's the force that you experience? Same. Electric field strength না, potential তো সেম। এই দুইটা গ্রাফ কিন্তু সেম সিনারিওর জন্য, they're the same scenario. Right, next হচ্ছে number 2 is electric field strength versus distance. This is for non-uniform point charge. Right. Naima, can you answer? Like an exponential inverse graph. Where does it meet on the y-axis? Or it doesn't meet the y-axis? Like that. Okay. Right, what do you guys think? Should it be this one or the previous one? Depends on the charge. It's a non-uniform point charge. Non-uniform point charge. So কি হবে গ্রাফটা? এই লাইনটা থাকবে না কেন? Because এই লাইনটা is only applicable when you have a charge that has a shape. Point charge has no shape size, so the field strength just starts abruptly. Okay, so yeah, that's the graph going to be. এটা কেমনে determine করব গ্রাফটা? এটা হবে is proportional to what? 1 by d square. তোমাদের মাঝে মাঝে গ্রাফ ফিল করতে দেয়, they'll give you like an axis and they'll say যে কোথায় কোথায় কি হয়। In these graphs, এই গ্রাফগুলোতে এটা করে রাখি because I've seen some mistakes. এখানে একটা distance 2, distance 3. How does the electric field strength vary? এটা হবে কি E by 2, এটা হবে E by 3, এটা হবে E by 4, because that's just inversely related, right? Or এখানে in this one it's going to be more drastic and dramatic because it's a square effect, right? So go down and become lower much rapidly. So this is going to become E by 4, E by 9, E by 16. Or actually check করে যখন sketch করতে বলে, they want to see if you actually apply those values or not. Okay. For the non-uniform point charge, isn't there a straight vertical line? Yes, if you want, you can put a line here, but we don't need to do that because it's a point, so you can't reach the center of the point. Okay, next I'll show you different variations. এখন তোমরা বুঝবা কি হচ্ছে। So this is the base graph. তোমাদের এই গ্রাফটা জানতেই হবে। This can be broken down into 3 different graphs out there. So কি 3 different graphs আমরা দেখি। তিনটার মধ্যে একটা আমি এখন দেখিনি এক্সামে দিতে, but we'll learn. First হচ্ছে solid insulating sphere. Okay, so imagine it's a solid sphere, but it's an insulating solid sphere with what distribution? Uniform charge distribution. Yes. Oh, that's distance. How far are you from the charge? For non-uniform field, we have no other D possible. It's only how far you are, separation. Okay, so yeah, how should this graph look like? আজকে we'll do this one and then wrap up. So আমাকে একটু বলো যে আমার যদি হচ্ছে এরকম দেখতে হয় non-uniform charge distribution, so uniform charge distribution, solid insulating sphere, right? How does the graph look like? Afra, can you answer? Yeah. Like straight flat at the top and then like this. Do you guys agree? What should it be? Yeah, it should go like that and like that. Why is that so? Because when it's uniformly distributed, what does it tell you? It tells you that the charge is increasing as you go from the center, layer by layer. So that means the further and further you go, the more the field strength builds up. Hollow. So all the field is at the surface, nothing inside. বলো আমি আচ্ছা হ্যাঁ so আমাদের তিনটা আছে তো তিনটার মধ্যে হচ্ছে আরেকটা is going to be the one hollow. Now there's also insulating sphere, there's also conducting solid sphere. Can you tell me what was the difference between a conducting solid sphere and an insulating solid sphere in terms of how charges behave? Yeah, the conducting sphere will only have the charges on the surface because all the charges will repel each other and they'll end up on the surface. And in the insulating sphere, the charges will be where they are. They can't move around. But that will lead to complications because we don't know how it's distributed. তার জন্য আমরা assume করি নি how is it distributed uniformly. That means that every place, say, if you cut a small piece of that material, you'll find the same amount of charge. So the bigger the material becomes, the more what do you end up with? Charge. Okay? এখানে না আমাদের যত গ্রাফ সবকিছু is based on the assumption it's a positive charge. So acha no, it is possible. It's a deficit setup. So you have a metal where you have removed all the electrons and it'll be uniformly distributed positive charges. Yes. So this is uniform Okay, so আমাদের graphs গুলো আমি তাহলে next class I'll do the rest of them. Next class খুব important, okay? I'll be doing those important ones, the combinations here. Questions গুলো করে রাখতে পারো. If you have graph questions তাহলে I can show you live কোথায় problem গুলো হয়. এটা হচ্ছে এখানে একটু চার্জ আছে তারপর তুমি কি করলে আরো দূরে গেলা তাহলে আরো চার্জ অ্যাড হলো পার্ট দূরে গেলা আরো চার্জ অ্যাড হলো যত দূরে যাচ্ছ more and more charges getting added up and more charge add up হলে তোমার strength বাড়তেছে and then you reach the surface you have the highest strength এরপরে তুমি যখন বাইরে যাওয়া স্টার্ট করছো চার্জ তো বাড়তেছে না বাট ডিসটেন্স বেড়ে যাচ্ছে তার জন্য স্ট্রেংথ কমে যাচ্ছে
সো কিন্তু আমরা না একটা ফর एग्जांपल একটা পজিটিভ চার্জ আছে এটা এখানে থাকলে কত ইলেকট্রিক ফ্রিকশন থাকবে সামনের দিকে এভাবে কম্পেয়ার করি না
না ওটা তো হচ্ছে আউটসাইড অফ চার্জ এটা তো ইনসাইডের জন্য উই ডোন্ট হ্যাভ এনি ইকুয়েশন